Okay, let's get in here. It's wonderful to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute after the show today.
Of course.
So, before we begin in earnest with the work that you're doing, the myriad of things that I see on paper, I want to begin with 6 years ago, this pandemic changed everything. In fact, that was the moment that podcasting became this big Hollywood catchphrase.
Right.
How did you get through that era, and how has it changed the way that you work and live today?
Oh my gosh. Well, the pandemic, my mom passed away at the beginning of the pandemic. We actually, so anyways, that really sent me into like, it was in January and then going into the shutdown in March. I had been in my marriage for 30 years at that point, and it showed me who my now ex really was. And so, like we always say, like some people didn't survive the pandemic. I mean, literally, and some of us didn't survive it figuratively. Like we just didn't, our marriages didn't survive. And so I was, I was staying at home. Actually, I was working from home for a little while, and then I decided to quote unquote retire because I was a speech therapist in the school district. And so we had to work online and all that. And we did, we all pivoted and did all that. But at the end, I was like, no, I'm good. Like I did 15 years, I'm good. And so that really changed my life and like, what am I going to do? And what I saw then from my husband at the time was a lot of apathy that my mom passed away. Why am I still sad? Those kinds of things. Those things were just heightened for me. Like I knew those things were happening, but I think it showed some true colors in people of how they behaved, what they thought of things. And, not everything survived during that time.
Right, right. So let's get into the work that you're doing now. There's a
Yeah.
lot of things between coaching and podcasting and you're an author and all speaker and all these things. So I'm
Yeah.
going to put you in front of 12-year-olds at career day. And the kid at the
Okay.
back of the room that's curious wants to know what you do for a living. How do you synthesize your day job to make
Yeah.
sense to their young brain?
Yeah. So I would tell them that I speak to women who are in relationships where maybe people are not being nice to them and they don't even know that they're not being nice to them because we're always taught like to have manners and be good and be nice to people, but some people don't follow those rules. And so we have to learn how to um, identify that, identify the people that aren't being very nice to us, and decide if we want to continue a relationship with them or if we want to leave that relationship. That's the basic version.
That makes total sense. So, what did you want to be when you were that age? What was your dream gig?
I was going to be a teacher.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah. And so that I did become a teacher. I never really taught. And then our third child was born with special needs. And so I went back to school and decided to become a speech therapist. And so it's not a surprise that I do that. And then I do this kind of stuff that I'm teaching women. It's not a surprise. I've always been teaching all my life.
So I'm curious. I have a son that's on the spectrum. He's
Mm.
21. What did being a parent of a special needs child teach you that you just didn't realize before?
Yeah. Well, it's funny when I was in college for my first degree to become a secondary educator, I thought, oh, it really takes a special person to work with those with special needs. And then my third child was born with special needs. Here, you get to do it. And what it taught me was that we are more resilient than we think, and our kids are more resilient than we think, and that there's people around you who will help you if you need it. I made some of the best friends who I still talk to this day because they had kids who showed me like I had people talking me off the ledge every time, going, "No, he's gonna be okay. Like he won't always be in diapers. He'll learn how to read, like those kinds of things." And it really taught me that I can do harder things than I thought I could do.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Well, and I think for them too, it's amazing how many things we get afraid of as parents that won't happen that do. Like his speech therapist in the beginning, I was
Yeah,
like at one point, I just pulled her aside and said, just just let's save the drama. Is he
yeah,
going to talk?
right.
And she was like, yes, he will, which at that point, it was a
Yeah,
lot of sign language. And now he
Yeah.
talks all the time.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So it's those
Yeah.
things where they'll
Yeah.
do these things and it may take a while or it's not on a
Right.
timetable. And that's the problem with life is that everybody's got measuring sticks. Everybody's on a
Yeah.
timetable. Everybody's got a bell curve. There's all these things that you're supposed to do. What who's supposed to do what? And when,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
That's
Have you ever read the poem Welcome to Holland?
oh yeah.
Yeah, and
Oh
so
yeah.
I'll just summarize it for people listening. And so somebody gave me that poem, and it's about that you plan a trip to Italy and you are on this flight, and then when you land, you're in Holland. And it's like Holland isn't just some terrible country that's full of pestilence. It's full of Rembrandts and windmills and tulips. But you were planning to be in Italy, and that's where you see other people coming and going. And Italy is people who got to have a child that didn't have special needs. And I was thankful to have two of those as well. And so it's like you dream about Italy and you plan for Italy and you do the things that in the books and everything, but then you land in Holland. And what are you going to do? Well, you can go look at the Rembrandts, or you can just, sit and be sad that you're there, or you can look around and see what beauty is around you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great poem. So where were you born and raised? Where did all this begin for you?
I mean, my hometown is Las Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's it. This is where I've lived most of
This
my
is
life.
it. Okay, so let
Yeah.
me ask you this. What were the seeds that were planted into you that made you want to get into education, writing, podcasting, coaching,
Yeah.
all these things that have become you? How did this happen?
Yes. Well, I had some great teachers, especially in high school. I had some great teachers that I really admired. And that's really what set me onto this dream of being a teacher. Never in a million years would I thought I would be a podcaster, an author, all these things, never. But I became an accidental expert when I got divorced and then started unraveling all of the decades of abuse I was in. And I didn't realize what had been happening. And I thought no one else should go through this. And so I started talking about it. And that's why I became a podcaster. Now, being the eldest daughter, kind of parentified, never, be quiet. No one really wants to hear what you have to say. It's not a surprise I have a microphone because no one wanted to listen to Laura. So now everyone gets to
Yes.
listen to Laura. So it's not a surprise.
So I got to know, since we're kind of I got a meta question about podcasting. What was the
Yeah.
first podcast that you got hooked on that you had to just keep going and going and going?
Probably had to do with true crime, maybe like Crime Junkies or
Gotcha.
something like that. Yeah, I enjoy true crime, and some people will tell you that there's something wrong with you if you do, but it's really it's that whole thing of like trying to solve a mystery, and then also you're kind of removed from it, and so I love to hear about it. I love to hear about, and I get annoyed when they're not solved. I get so annoyed.
Yeah, for sure. I got it. I got into that. I don't listen to that genre, but I got into it late listening to all of the shows. And there was a 1
Yeah.
800 number a guy put up in New York City,
Hmm.
and it was a confession line. And they
Oh,
would call up
interesting.
and they would confess these things. And then as it started going on, it got really bad. Like people were confessing to really, really bad things. And he was like,
Oh,
he didn't know what to do. And this was like
yeah.
in the 80s when New York was in its real crime phase and things were real
Yes.
dark. But this was before the internet and all these safety protocols.
Oh my
So he was kind
gosh.
of stuck between the moon and New York City. Like, what do I do with all this? I'll find it and have to send it because it was intriguing because it's like a 10-part series, but it was
Yeah.
the precursor. What he did was the precursor to the 1 800 or 1 900 numbers that blew up in the 90s. Like when
Wow.
you would pay for whatever,
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
to call. But
Oh my
anyway,
gosh, that's
yeah.
crazy.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it was intriguing. So
Yeah.
let me ask you this. Who has been your hero? Who's been your muse? Who has helped you through the divorce, these career changes, finding your real place in life right now? Have you had a central figure?
Well, my friend Gabby has been amazing. I met her through another friend. My sister and I used to have a podcast, and we met her. She was a friend of a friend, And, my friend had said, "Hey, I have a friend who's a podcast producer. Maybe you should meet her." We became fast friends. We're still friends to this day. She's my everyday friend. We live across the country from each other, which is terrible. But an everyday friend, texting, touching base, all those kinds of things. And she's the one who also produces my show. But she's the one who really was like, "Yes, you can do this." Like always talking me off a ledge. Like those times when you're healing, if anyone has ever healed from anything really hard, you feel like, is this it? Like as I started to unravel myself and like set boundaries. Well, when you set boundaries, the people who benefited from you not having boundaries kind of start moving away from you. And they're like, "I don't know about that." And I would look around and go like, "Do I have friends? Like, are there friends?" And she's the one that I had to call and be like, will I ever have friends again? Those kinds of things. And her helping me so much on so many levels of my journey. Yeah, because she's been through it as well. So
Sure.
she's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What was one of the more difficult yet exhilarating podcasts that you did that kind of changed the course of the way that you would approach the microphone at interviews?
Oh my gosh, these are good questions, and I'm not sure. The podcast is really about thing we talk about things society tells us not to talk about, but it's
Sure.
sort of become the narcissist show. And I'm not gosh, I can't even think. I've done over 100 episodes, so I'm trying to think. I've interviewed people that I can't believe I've interviewed, people that were quote unquote like celebrities, like I just see somebody because I've been coached and taught, like if you approach them and they say no, you didn't have them anyway. So
Yeah.
I just keep trying. I I can't think of anybody off the
Okay.
top of my head.
Okay.
Yeah, but I
That's
mean,
fine.
there's so many great people out there.
Well, let's put something out in the universe. If you could have a dream guest of anybody alive on the planet right now, who would you love to interview?
Oh my gosh. Who would I like to
We're going to
interview?
manifest it. It's going to
I
happen. It's
know, right?
going out in the world.
Dang it, Joe. You're supposed to tell me these questions ahead of time. Um, I I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Dr. Ramani, to talk. Oh, you know who I really want to talk to? This is who we're going to manifest. Laura Richards, the crime analyst. That's who I
Okay.
want to talk. I want to
Okay.
talk to her.
Okay.
And I would, yes, love her, would love to talk to her. That's my dream guest. Yes.
You just mastered improv right there. It just
Okay.
came out. That's it. All of these
And
answers are
we'll
guttural.
tag her in the show notes.
Yes, exactly. We are. We're going to put it out there. So let me ask you this. You have a lot of things that you do. There's lives that are affected. There's a lot of things on the back end. You have an entrepreneurial kind of world you live in.
Yeah.
What is the energy every day when the alarm clock either goes off or not for you to do all of this at a high level? Take
Yeah.
care of your soul, all of the
Yeah.
things that need to be done. What is that energy for you every day?
Oh my gosh, it's so weird to talk about abuse all day, but feel so alive because when I started to unravel my marriage after 33 years, I thought that's what I'm unraveling, right? All these, whatever happened to me. But as I started to unravel, I'm like, oh no, Laura gets to unravel all 55 years of her life. She gets to unpack the whole thing. And what that does now to me is like I said, I'm never going to be quiet ever again. And so I always say, like, I'm about 4 years old because this is a new person. I cracked myself wide open, have gone to a million different experts to learn hypnosis and meditation and trauma informed therapy, all these things to understand my patterns that got me to where I was and I wanted to change. And so every day I am so excited that I have the freedom to get on a social media platform or a microphone and like call out, not by name, but call out these dirty, rotten scoundrels, and talk about those things. The freedom I have is like nothing I've ever had before. Before the 4 years, I never had that kind of freedom. I was just especially women were societalized, be the good girl. And I had a lot of people tell me not to talk and don't call it abuse. Why are you doing that? So every day I get so excited. And though the stories are sad and people who approach me and DM me are sad, I have hope for them. And that's the biggest thing is that I can offer you hope and show you that it's good on the other side and you're going to be okay.
Do you ever find that hopping into all these realms of conversations and talking that you're trying to help people heal, but in that process, you've provided yourself therapy?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's amazing how I would be interviewing people and have real time healing where I have to tell my editor, like, hey, there was a whole portion here where I'm crying. Leave it all in. Leave it all in so people can see because you never know what your trigger is going to be. You never know what expert you're going to meet, and they just say the right thing and you go, oh my gosh, new level unlocked.
Yeah.
And that to me is so refreshing, and I didn't know that that was going to happen. And then my coach Gabby was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be so amazing when you're interviewing people, you're going to heal so much. I'm like, wait a second, what? Like,
Yeah.
what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And it's so true.
So let me ask you this. When the big word retirement flashes up in your brain,
Yeah.
what do you think about? How does that work for you?
Yeah. Well, retirement would mean that I didn't have to work outside of the home. Like I
Right.
could do my podcast full time. And then I would have like the the money and the time to travel more. My daughter doesn't live in town and she has my granddaughter. And so she doesn't live in the same city I do. And so I don't get to see them as often. Thank God for FaceTime. But I just want to be able to like help my kids with whatever monetarily, however I can. And so retirement to me would mean full freedom to work this business, my podcast and my coaching, however I want.
So let's say you have a dream tonight and you run into the 18-year-old version of you, ready to go out into the world. All these dreams are brimming,
Oh,
and
man.
you walk into the room right now and there's a film projector and you click play. 60-second highlight reel of all the decisions and the life you led is up there. Is that young version of you going to believe your life turned out this way?
Probably not. I mean, the 18-year-old Laura really needed to be loved. She wanted to be loved. And so that we found the person we were going to marry. Well, I was with my high school boyfriend at that time and I loved him until we just couldn't make things work. And then meeting my ex-husband now, a few years later, I mean, she just needed to be loved. I say that all the time. It's like the decisions I was making, even up to 22-year-old Laura needed to be loved. And so I don't know, I don't know that they would be they would believe it. 18-year-old Laura. I mean, yeah, how can you tell somebody it's like don't count on men, but you don't need external validation from men or boys to be happy. And I wouldn't have believed it. I would have been like, no, that's what are you talking about?
Yeah,
Who else is going to give me validation then?
sure.
I didn't know that I could give myself validation
So in that highlight reel, what are you the happiest about, the proudest of?
at 18. Oh, no,
For
I'm
right
sorry.
now. Yeah, yeah. When you look
Yeah.
at that highlight of your life.
Yeah. You know, I I love my kids, but I really did some damage to them growing or being in a marriage that was abusive. And but we have had the part that I love is that we've been able to heal, and that like has helped so much. So when I look back on my life, doing things that I were like I just was making decisions out of, survival and all that. I don't cringe as much because I've had healing with my kids. I've had apologies with my kids to tell them. It's like they know I was doing the best I could, but I still wanted to apologize. And it's very healing to do that. And so when I look back, I don't cringe as much. I am really thankful that I was home with my kids for a short time and was able to like be with them and take them places and have fun with them. And I love that. And that's why we're so close.
So the one thing I think that's astonishing about 2026 is that I never thought that I would see a time where there would be such a reversion of women's rights. And I
Yeah.
think it feeds into everything that you're trying to help women get through.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not talking about abortion. I'm talking
Yeah.
about basic rights for a girl in
Right.
Mississippi that can't get to a clinic. They're
Right.
getting rescinded because of all this political garbage that we're
Right.
getting fed. Is this just astonishing to you how much has been rescinded? The war on women?
It's in a way, yes. And as I do more work on this, no. And the hard part is that when I even mention, I talk about narcissists all day long. I'm like, how am I not going to mention the person running our country? He's a malignant narcissist. Like the cycle of abuse is happening in front of our eyes.
Yeah.
And some people get very offended by that. But when I post things, this is the other thing. I was never this person. You never would have heard me say one thing about anything like this, nothing political, nothing about women's rights because I wasn't quote unquote allowed to, in abuse. And so talking about these things, some of my friends are like, well, what do you mean women have different rights than men? I'm like, and so it's hard because people don't always see it. It's right in front of them and they don't see it. They don't understand that little by little, I'm not going, my granddaughter is going to have less rights than my mom fought for. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it's strange to me. And is it a surprise? No, it's not a surprise because women are powerful and we run the world really. And the thing is that and that's what it's maybe men don't want to hear that, but it's we because we come at it from a different angle.
sure.
We're nurturing, we're supporting people, we're doing things, we're like, here, have everybody have healthcare and everybody, or whatever
Yeah.
it is, right? And so it's different. And so I don't know. But when you have people who are running off their egos, that hurts people. And women are going to be the first one because if we can keep women down, then they can't make decisions. We can make a difference.
But that's what that there you go right there. The difference. There's two unique opportunities in America
Yes.
for a woman to get into political, the highest office, and it didn't happen. And I thought this time around, this
I
last
know.
election, I thought because all the rights and all of that stuff came down before this election, well
Yeah.
before it. Like, how is it that all women aren't coming out and like, no way, we're
Yeah.
doing something different. So that's
Yeah.
what has been surprising to me, but it feeds into what you just said.
Yeah.
Having the power and deciding what to do with it, and you know, are you
And
hopeful for the next cycle that
I
things can
am.
change?
I am. And
Yeah,
also because I keep talking about it as well. But, we have to remember because I was there just a few years ago. When you are in it and people are saying things like, some of these pastors and stuff that are saying like we should have a one household vote. And these women who are like, yes, I
yeah,
believe my husband
right.
should be the only one who votes. Listen, that person could be in abuse and she's saying that so she won't get hit when she gets home. And so you have to look at it from that angle. It doesn't mean these people are in abuse, but it means they're being manipulated psychologically somehow to believe that. And because why would you just freely give up like that? But I've interviewed a lot of people about this and how the Christian nationalism is really rampant and how it started and how we got here and stuff. So I've interviewed some authors on that and stuff, people doing different work than I am. And it's interesting and it just shows how easily it's like one drip at a time. I didn't say
Yep.
33 years in abuse for fun. I say 33 years because I didn't know what was happening around me. I was completely psychologically manipulated and I didn't know.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. After this long road up to right now, everyone
Yeah.
has a perception of you. Family, friends, fans, everybody that listens to your show,
Yeah.
everybody that you coach, but you are the one that runs the perception of what we see. What's your
Yes.
perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Yeah. Well, I think I'm kind of great. I'm funny. I've worked really hard on that. But I'm also very insecure and can't believe when people say nice things and I can't barely believe it when my podcast does well and those kinds of things, like little old me. But also I know the work I'm doing and the work I've done in myself to be able to say, I know I'm a decent person. I know that I'm funny and that I love people. And it's like, and so when people are saying things to me, sometimes I say, like, when they give me a compliment, I'll be like, I know, right? I've worked really hard to get there because I wasn't this person just a few years ago. I
Yeah.
left my marriage and a lot of other toxic systems and said, I got to go to therapy and see if I even like myself because no one else around me seems to like me. But what I was learning was when you are setting boundaries with people, um, if they're benefiting from you not having boundaries, they're not going to like you and they're going to tell you you're difficult and all that. So,
Sure. So let's end on a high note here.
okay.
I'm gonna have a time machine pull up in front of your house. You can hop
Oh
in
gosh.
and you can go back in time and see one event in human history. You could see it
Oh,
unfold, no tear in time, no Back to the Future hoax, and you get to come back. What one event do you want to see
oh my
unfold before
gosh.
your eyes? A lot of stuff.
It's a lot.
We've done a lot of things. We're busy as humans.
Why are you asking me these questions on the spot? You know what? I don't even know. I think about so many different things in human history, and I think, oh, that would be scary to be there.
Yeah,
Those people were strong.
yeah.
I My gosh, I don't know.
Okay. All right, that's fine.
I don't even know. I'm probably happy reading about it.
Okay, there you go. So we're going to stay right here in this moment. Speaking of, if anybody wants to reach out, all of the good work you're doing, where's the best place to go for people to dive in?
Yeah, my podcast is called That's Where I'm At. And so my website is that's where I'm at podcast.com. You can find me. Don't look for Laura Richards because that's the crime analyst. she, everybody tries to pull me up. I'm like, no, she's the crime. So it's that's where I'm at podcast.com. All over social media as that's where I'm at podcast.
Okay, I will make it easy. I'll put links in the show notes. Laura,
Great.
what a joy. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your story. Keep changing the world. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet.